November on a high mountain. Moshe Kowalski stood right in front of a closed window in his big office based on the 12th floor of the building. He filled the room with a cloudy thick smoke coming from his cigar, while enjoying the breathtaking scenery from the window, which was a masterpiece of an amazingly manicured piece of a 26-acre of land, beautifully engineered high-tech building establishments, and a newly renovated rail station next to it. When the old station was transformed to a new one, the price of the assets rose dramatically. An investment firm that bought his old offices, that covered a 4-acre land area, was so stunned and amazed when they learned that Kowalski purchased a 26-acre land area in the same price. No wonder he was in a hurry to sell his property to them in a very low price. A week later, a computer company bought from him an acre of land for construction. He sold it at a price 10 times the total price he paid for the entire lot. When you're on top, he told himself, there are millions of opportunities to be rich. In the last couple of years, he couldn't find anything useful in his office anymore. In fact, his presence was not needed in the business. He then spent mostly of his time traveling around the world, enjoying the comfort of his luxurious yacht. Naor, his son, had taken total control of the business, as he went further, and eventually dragged himself into the world of communication industry in the United States, and proved that talent is hereditary, although there are times that Moshe had to help his son behind the scenes, without his knowing that his father's hand was behind everything. He sat on his desk and started to look at the picture of his son when he was small. He was so wrapped up with the memories of those days, when the door suddenly opened. He felt that he lost his sanity. He blinked his eyes and his imagination turned to a complete shock. What the hell do you think you're doing? He found himself roaring in English as the lady entered the room. The small boy who was holding her hand politely approached him, but Moshe pushed the boy away from him. Why are you so mad? Did you not miss your grandson? She replied in Romanian, while pulling a chair for the boy. She sat right in front of Moshe, trying to ignore his anger. She opened her purse and took out a cigarette, and lighted it. She got her legs crossed while trying to blow the smoke in Moshe's face. One stick of cigarette will not change anything with the stinky smell of your office. Moshe took a deep breath. Julia, we had an agreement. You are not allowed to come here. You have already done enough damage. Be fair, and go back to Romania. Julia looked at him with a very sarcastic smile, and blew another set of smoke from her mouth. It's time for you and your son to take responsibility for the child. I prefer my freedom over the money that you are paying me, she said, while caressing Daniel's head. Daniel pulled his head away from her. He stared at his grandfather. The excitement he had earlier was totally gone. His grandfather didn't like him. He knew it, it was obvious. Portrait of anger ran through Moshe's face. He was upset. Muscles in the face began to work out. He hated people who simply drag him into a situation where there seemed to be no way out. He was helpless. He was furious. Okay, do you need more money? You can have more. You can have anything you want, but don't ruin Naor's family. Take that kid with you and I will take care of everything. I will make sure that you will have everything you need, and you will live like a princess all your life. That sounds so interesting and tempting. Julia raised eyebrows as she replied. I have a little bit of a problem though. I met an American guy. He wants me to move in with him alone, without the kid. And I was thinking that it's not too bad for the little boy to stay with his father, or his grandfather. Don't you think so, Mr. Moshe Kowalski? Is there someone in your family who will agree to take care of the kid with the same condition? Moshe ignored the sarcasm in her voice. She smiled. Do you want to send him to hell? I for sure will go there if I do something like that. She twisted her cigarette in the ashtray, then got up. Oh, you are some sort of hell actually. She laughed and seemed to be enjoying his torture. Where do you think you're going? I need to go somewhere. I need some professional advice. I'm sure they will tell me what to do. After all, this is your grandson. I already have a plane ticket, and I will be in a plane in 2 days. Where do you intend to go? Moshe asked. To the Department of Social Welfare. She took out some sort of a small paper, and slowly looked at him. I have the address here. Julia didn't know that Moshe was so scared of her. He tried the hard way. Julia, no one threatens me. You should know that. I'm sorry, this is your grandson. That's your problem. She took Daniel's hand. Say goodbye to Grandpa. She could not help but laughed. She saw a strong feeling of anxiety on Moshe's face, but did not notice the frozen face of Daniel while looking at his grandfather as they walked out towards the door. She got into the taxi which Moshe's secretary had called for her, and only then that she looked at Daniel's face. He was always a very serious child. But now he sat on the car with his eyes towards an imaginary point across the window. Do not worry, everything will be fine. Honestly, I never thought that your grandfather would not want to take you. If things won't work out, I myself will take you to your dad. But before that, we will try one more way to convince your grandfather. I know that you are upset right now, but at the end, you will see that everything will be okay, and you will become happy and even happier than being with me. Daniel kept looking outside the window until the cab stopped in front of the Department of Social Welfare. Julia went straight to Deborah's office, a woman with curly black hair, not well groomed, and ponytailed with a rubber band. Julia and Daniel waited while Deborah was talking on the phone. Julia inspected Deborah's eyebrows, that urgently needed some tweezers, but then she concluded that there was nothing to bother. Nothing can be done to improve the appearance of this woman. Deborah answered angrily to the man on the other line of the phone. Julia was so afraid that this meeting will be worse than her meeting with Kowalski, and decided to make it short. Look, this is the grandson of Moshe Kowalski. Julia opened in English, noticed the softness in the face of the social worker in hearing the name of Moshe Kowalski. She described the situation thoroughly in front of her and surprised to see the kindness in the face of this government official, although she knew that it was just some kind of pretension. I understand your reference to us, but it's not within our jurisdiction. I would suggest you to contact a lawyer. Besides, you know that the grandfather is not responsible for the child, the father is. You can't do anything against the grandfather. Deborah tried to calm down her voice, although she was shocked by the revelation. Julia was silent. She had already prepared an alternative plan, but she had to make sure that Deborah will take part in her action. Look, I understand you don't take care about such things, but can I just leave here a note? I'm going to fly to America in 2 days, and if the child will be left alone, it's good to have some basic information about him, right? Deborah looked up. You can leave me a letter, but I still suggest that it would be better if you give it to a lawyer. Julia had already thought about that alternative, but since she was leaving in 2 days, and wanted to leave the boy to her, it would be more helpful to leave a letter to a social worker than to a lawyer. Deborah took the letter from her. After all, it was just a letter, and it won't hurt anyone. She looked at the skinny blonde woman heading out of her office. She told her to close the door after her, but ignored, because she had already gone out. Deborah got up and locked the door. She needed to make some personal phone calls to someone, and she didn't want to be overheard by anyone from the office. She dialed the office of Kowalski. As expected, his secretary informed her that he couldn't answer at the moment, and instead asked her to just leave a message, but Deborah insisted to wait on the line, and asked her to tell him that it was an urgent call from the Department of Social Welfare. Indeed, just like Deborah thought, Moshe Kowalski answered. His voice seemed to be a sweet melody that was so pleasing to the ear. She told him about Julia's visit and the letter she left. She wanted to know what will happen to the child if her mother leaves to America, since, according to her, he was the boy's grandfather. Moshe admitted to himself that things are out of control, but kept himself cool. That's what she says. Do you know how many people like her roaming around these days? She had a brief affair with my son, all right, and if she thinks that he is his son, there are ways to deal with it. I'm at least not the right person to address with, and certainly not you. I'll seriously check on the matter and see how it goes. Right now, for me, I'm just updating you, but if it will become worse, there's a need to notify my superior. Moshe was silent. He never thought that Julia will go to the social welfare's office, and certainly did not think to break the agreement and leave a letter. He needed to get it, otherwise he will be a dead man. What does the letter says? He asked, trying to see if Deborah opened it and read its contents. I did not open it. I guess she wrote the things she told me. Moshe was relieved. Listen, Deborah, I'm ready to pay a visit to your office and give you my version, and it's only because I have a great respect for your work. Deborah was filled with a sense of belongingness towards her job. I have meetings all day. I will be free from work at 8 o'clock in the evening. Do you work until late hours like these? He said, as he entered her office, which was the only office staffed at that time. These are not regular working hours, but phenomenal visitor, like you don't come every day. She said, smiling at him. Would you like some coffee? You don't believe it, we have an espresso machine here. It would be great if you could make me some coffee with whipped milk, he said, hoping that it will keep her longer in the kitchenette. I'll be right back. Just as when she left and headed to the kitchenette down the hall, he grabbed her bag to look for the letter. Mixed among the papers that caught his eye was a white envelope. He opened it quickly, removed the contents, and replaced it with another letter, plus a silence fee of $3,000. When he heard the sound of her shoes coming, he had already managed to return and found his place. The coffee was perfect.